Good evening. Good evening. It's about 7:15 on the 4th of August. This is James Exum coming to you from my studio in South Austin, Texas. This is the introduction to my latest video entitled Powering the World, keeping the world's power going. And it'll be basically a narration read to you from my voice that narrates my Windows program on my computer. I've gotten used to this young gentleman's voice. He speaks clearly and properly, slowly. He has a good cadence and a good volume. I basically am not going to appear on camera very often any longer because my Parkinson's is starting to act up, which means that I'm pretty much in constant motion. Even though it's not severe yet, it's noticeable on camera. Plus, I cannot utilize my given voice because it's being affected by the Parkinsonian disease. I have to drink liquids pretty often and clear my throat here and there. So I think it's best if this young gentleman reads my work to you. You'll learn what this program's all about once you start hearing him narrate. And so I'm going to turn it over to him now. So let's go to the clip.
Powering the World. James H. Exum / Sakshi. Austin, Texas. Copyrighted August 4th, 2026. All rights reserved. Thomas Robert Malthus teaches that if desire is left without discipline, the future becomes a crowded room with an empty table. Sakshi. This is a discourse on Malthusian fear, future food and energy, and the yogic correction of consciousness. Thomas Robert Malthus, 1766 to 1834, was an English economist, demographer, and Anglican cleric whose work shaped debates about population, poverty, food supply, and social progress. Born in Surrey, England, he was educated at Jesus College, Cambridge, and later became a fellow there. His most famous work, an essay on the principle of population, first published in 1798, argued that human population tends to expand faster than the means of subsistence unless restrained by moral, social, or natural checks. Though many later thinkers criticized him for underestimating technology and agricultural innovation, Malthus remains important because he forced modern societies to confront the relationship between human increase, material limits, hunger, and the ethics of survival. Thomas Robert Malthus looked upon human increase and saw a difficult arithmetic of survival. Population, if unchecked, could multiply geometrically while food supply increased only arithmetically. In that vision, the field is slower than the womb, the granary slower than desire, and civilization forever threatened by the widening space between mouths and bread. The modern world has not fulfilled Malthus in a simple way, for technology, trade, fertilizer, irrigation, plant science, and global logistics have stretched the old limits. Yet the warning remains alive wherever hunger, climate stress, war, debt, and unequal distribution meet. Today the question is no longer only, Can the earth produce enough? It is also who receives what is produced, at what cost, by what energy, and with what damage to the living systems that make production possible. Energy assessments likewise show a world entering an age of rising electricity demand, with renewables growing quickly, yet fossil fuels still deeply embedded in transport, agriculture, fertilizer, industry, and war. Thus, the Malthusian problem has become more subtle, not merely a shortage of grain, but a disorder of appetite, infrastructure, justice, and power. The Malthusian shadow. Malthus teaches the anxiety of quantity. He says, "Count the people, count the acres, count the bushels, count the barrels, count the watts, count the children yet unborn." He teaches that if desire is left without discipline, the future becomes a crowded room with an empty table. His positive checks, famine, disease, conflict, are the brutal corrections of a world where human expansion outruns restraint. His preventive checks, prudence, delayed reproduction, foresight, are the gentler discipline by which reason tries to spare humanity from suffering. Applied to future food supplies, Malthusian thought warns that soil, water, stable weather, seed diversity, pollinators, and fertilizer are not infinite servants. Applied to vital energy resources, it warns that food and fuel are braided together. Diesel moves tractors and ships. Natural gas feeds nitrogen fertilizer. Electricity runs irrigation, refrigeration, data systems, and processing plants. If energy becomes scarce, expensive, or geopolitically unstable, food also becomes more fragile. In this sense, the loaf of bread is not only made of wheat. It is made of sunlight, water, soil, labor, transport, peace, and energy. The yogic counterpoint. But yoga turns the question inward. It asks not only how many bodies the earth can carry, but what kind of consciousness is doing the carrying. Yoga, union, disciplined integration of body, mind, breath, and spirit, does not deny food, energy, population, or policy. It denies the false belief that outer crisis can be solved while inner craving remains enthroned. Aparigraha, non-hoarding or freedom from possessiveness, stands before the Malthusian panic and says, scarcity is intensified when the few clutch what the many require. Ahimsa, non-harm in thought, word, and action, asks whether our agriculture, economics, and energy systems can feed humanity without wounding the earth that feeds us. Prana, vital life force or living energy, offers a deeper correction to the modern worship of extraction. Oil is energy, gas is energy, electricity is energy. But prana reminds us that life itself is not merely fuel consumed. It is flow, balance, rhythm, breath, and reciprocity. A society may possess energy and still be exhausted. A nation may light every city and still darken the human heart. The yogic question is therefore not simply, how do we secure more energy? It is, how do we live so that energy circulates without becoming violence? Santosha, contentment or sufficiency, speaks directly to the fear that drives both overconsumption and despair. Malthus sees appetite multiplying. Yoga sees that appetite can be educated. Tapas, disciplined heat, austerity, or transformative effort, does not mean poverty for the poor. It means voluntary restraint by those who have mistaken excess for freedom. Dharma, right order, duty, and ethical alignment, requires that technology, population policy, food systems, and energy transition serve life rather than merely profit, speed, or domination. The vision of the witness. The earth is not angry because we are many. The earth trembles because we are unmeasured. There is a number that can be fed, and there is a hunger that cannot be fed. The first belongs to demography, the second belongs to consciousness. When Malthus counts the mouths, he is not wrong, but he is incomplete. Count also the hands that waste. Count the ships that carry grain past the hungry. Count the fields planted for speculation while children wait for bread. Count the energy burned to preserve luxury while villages lose power. Count the fear that says, there will not be enough, and then creates the very world it feared. Sakshi, the witnessing consciousness, does not turn away from the famine map, the population chart, or the energy graph. Sakshi sees them without panic and without denial. The witness says, let the mind become clear enough to distinguish need from greed, growth from swelling, abundance from accumulation, and civilization from mere consumption. The needed synthesis. A wise future will not choose between Malthus and yoga. It will take from Malthus the discipline of limits, and from yoga the discipline of consciousness. It will accept that population policy matters, that food systems must become resilient, that clean energy must expand, that waste must shrink, that soil and water must be protected, and that distribution is an ethical question, not a mere logistical inconvenience. But it will also accept that without inner transformation, every technological victory becomes another appetite looking for a larger plate. The Malthusian future says, restrain numbers or be restrained by catastrophe. The yogic future says, restrain craving, awaken compassion, and order society by reverence for life. Between them stands the true work of our century, to feed the body without starving the soul, to power the world without burning its foundations, and to grow not merely in population, but in wisdom.
And there it is, the advice from the wisdom of yoga, from the philosophy of yoga, gathered together and organized into my latest writing, and then uploaded, filmed, and then uploaded to YouTube for distribution, free distribution, without commercials, to the world. I hope those that hear this message in the future will take heart and pay attention, because not only does my generation, the boomers, but all the generations since and those to come will depend on the proper management of Mother Earth. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a nice evening, and remember, be good to yourself, be good to others, be good to strangers, and keep the positive attitude that all the blight and problems of the world, they too shall pass. Good night.